Okay, first I want to give all honor, praises, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, for allowing me to make this video. Right, Yahweh being the true name of the Most High, right? Bahashem, right? Bahashem meaning in the name of in the Paleo Hebrew, and Yahweh Shai being the true name of the Most High's only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls, right? Ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, right? They still call on that name for whatever fucking reason, but judgment awaits them, right? Nonetheless. Anyways, I'm making this video, because I was talking with a friend, maybe, around this time, 11:56, which is, maybe like two hours ago by the time I'm making this video. And, I mentioned something about, he mentioned something about, me having to pick between having one girl or the other girl. And I replied to him saying, I want both of them. Right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Why can't a man have two wives for it, right? Woman was literally created for the man, right? It literally says that in the scriptures, right? But, it always leads to the age-old conversation of lust and cheating or some bullshit. I don't fucking know. But let's go over, what we discussed, right? There's only 3 pictures, right? But, here's where I said, having multiple wives. Now, I don't want to, have his name out there, right? Because, in case he sees this video, right? But, well, I want him to see the fucking video, right? But, I'm going to respect some of his privacy, right? Anyways, having multiple wives. And he was like, come on. And I was like, and he mentioned adultery. So it all started with adultery. When I said, I can have both women, he immediately said adultery, right? And can someone tell me what adultery is? Right? I said it right there in the chat. Right? Adultery is having sex with another man's wife. Now, keep in mind, adultery also has other meanings. Right? Let's not get that messed up. Let's get that right now. Right? Let's get the meanings of adultery. Right? You should not commit adultery. The Blue Letter Bible. Perfect definitions, right? Well, not this one because it has other word in it. Right? I mean, can we still use this one? No, it's still going to say the word. I guess you can use this one, right? I wanted the word itself. Actually, let's see if it's in a New Testament. Or if they just have it by itself. Give me one moment. No, I think it's just stuck together. But just in case, let's see if it's any different. You see, like in the Greek is different, right? Look, I guess we can use the other one as well. But look, it says right here, right? To commit adultery with, have unlawful intercourse with another's wife, right? In Hebrew idiom, right? It said this in the Old Testament. The word is used of those who at a woman's solicitation are drawn away to idolatry, right? To eating of things sacrificed to idols, right? And we're also, Israel specifically, not these other nations, we're likened as to the Most High's wife, right? In the scriptures. So, for example, right, you take Solomon, and we also mentioned Solomon in this conversation as well, but I didn't take a picture of that. But we're gonna get into that as well. He brought up Solomon, right? And again, what was Solomon's sin? Right? I mentioned his name, and he was like, didn't he get punished? Right? But here's why you also gotta read and look into stuff. Right? You gotta read and look into stuff. He was punished, and within that same chapter, it told you why he was punished. Right? Because of his wives. Right? What did adultery say? Having women draw you away from the Most High, essentially, and eating after sacrifice foods to other gods. That was his sin, right? He started following his wife's religion. That was his sin. And, a lot of time when you see, and actually, let's keep on going. Let's keep on going before I go off topic, right? Keep on going, right? Now I have to go to this one, right? And he said, okay, then lust, right? Age-old debate of lust, right? Now, again, let's get the definition of lust, right? Let's see what lust means. Make this a little bit bigger. Lust. What does lust mean? Right, and I even explained to him and who else? One of my other friends in the chat, because they always love saying lust, right? See this? I want just the word itself. Let's see if we can get it right here. Right, but if we can't get it here, then I can just tell you what lust means. Oh yeah, there it is, right here. Desire, right? It's an intense desire, craving, longer desire for what is forbidden. Lust, right? Now, keep in mind, lust is an intense desire, right? You can lust after good stuff, right? You can lust after bad stuff. You can say you lust after learning, right? Nothing wrong with that. You lust after learning. You're supposed to be occupied in the scriptures anyway, right? It says that. Pretty sure it says that maybe in Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus, right? If I'm not mistaken, one might be, I forgot what chapter, but and it could also have a desire for what is forbidden, right? So lusting after money, right, as being greed. What are you lusting after money for, right? You can't. It literally says in the scripture, you can't obey the Most High, and it says money in the scripture. It says mammon. I'm pretty sure. Let's try to find that. Right. There it is, Matthew 6:24. Right. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold on to one. Right. Let's get that in different Bibles, different translations. Right. Ye cannot serve the Most High and mammon. Right. Let's get the NLT. No man can serve two masters. Right. This is the NLT. For you will hate one and love the other. You will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve the Most High Yahweh, right, and be enslaved to money, right? So, tells you right there, you can't be lusting over, money essentially, right? But that's that, right? But lust, again, it's an intense desire, and then you also have people who say, don't be lusting after women, and scriptures do in fact say, don't lust after women, right? Let's get some of these verses, right, and try to break it down, right? And I'm pretty sure I know the verse he's actually trying to talk about, right? It's Matthew 5:28, right? Get that right now. Matthew 5:28. Where is it at? But I say unto you, right, and this should be Yahushua speaking, if I'm not mistaken, right? 5:28. Yeah, but I say unto you that whosoever, right, read it very carefully. Please read it very carefully. That whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her have committed adultery with her already in his heart. And then you ask yourself, wait a minute, if all these people in the Bible have multiple wives, right, took women, did things to women as well, right, and was not punished for it, right? And I'm gonna go into that what I mean by that as well, right? Lord willing, I'll remember, right? What does this mean? Whosoever looketh upon a woman to lust after her, commit adultery in her heart, right? And then you also get let's get this, right? What was was it 15:9, I think, right? Because even the other day, like I was just scrolling on TikTok, right, and these women are always showing off their bodies online and shit like that. No, not this. Wasn't this? Was it ninth chapter? Right. But anyway, they're showing off their bodies and shit. And then, someone typed in the comments saying, what was it? Do not, damn, what the fuck was it? What was it? Lust after a body or some shit? Yeah, it said don't lust after my body or some bullshit like that. I forgot what it was, right? But let me find this verse real quick so I can relate it, right? I'm pretty sure it's in Proverbs 5:19. Okay, 5:19, right? I'm pretty sure the comment says something about don't lust after my body, right? And then I'm so mad because I don't really remember. It was like a couple of days ago, man. But I replied to the comment being like, I bet you don't even know. No, I think he put a Bible verse. He might have put a Bible verse, right? But it relates to this conversation because it talks about, lusteth after a woman, right? But I brought up this verse, right? What was it? 5. This is 5th chapter, 19, right? Now, tell me what this means to Yah, right? Proverbs 5:19. Let her be as a loving hind in pleasant roe, right? Let her breasts satisfy you at all times, and be you ravished always with her love, right? So wait a minute, if I look upon a woman and if I look upon a woman to lust after her, I commit adultery with her in my heart already. But it just told me to be ravished always. This verse right here sounds like lusting after her. We lusting after her titties, right? Come on, man. Loving hind and pleasant roe, ravished always with her love, right? Come on, man. So what this verse is telling you, and now you knowing what adultery means, which means, sex with another man's wife, right? What is it telling you? It's basically saying, if you see another man's wife and you desire her, nigga, you gonna be punished, bro. You gonna be punished. And there's even a verse on that as well, right? Let's get Proverbs 6:34. Because this is, you got a lot of people who just take it at face value. They don't understand, right? You're like, I can't, lust after woman is bad. Nigga, the woman was literally put on earth for you, right? But now if you go about it the wrong way, like worshiping their gods as Solomon did, or lusting after a woman who has a fucking man, then you're gonna be punished, right? You have to what my friend said, he said, chew the meat and spit out the bones, right? It's a little awesome fucking phrase right there, right? Because you literally gotta fucking like devour the scripture and like separate it, like separate it in half, right? You gotta take out. Or was it? Did he say that relating to this? Either way, right? He said it related to something, right? But you get the point. You can't take it as face value, right? You gotta literally slice it in half and see which parts match this part, right? Precept upon precept, right? Anyways, this is Proverbs 6. Let's see where it's at. So I go off into his neighbor's wife? Nigga, you use 6:29, right? I don't know if this is the one though. Pretty sure something about it said sparing. But anyway, 6:29, right? So he that goeth into his neighbor's wife. Now his neighbor means, your brother's wife, not an actual like blood brother, but like, basically another Israelite, right? Whosoever toucheth her shall not be innocent, right? You are not going to be innocent, right? There it is. Yeah, it's down here. Let's start off right here. 6:32. But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul, right? A wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. For jealousy is the rage of a man, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance, right? He will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though you give us many gifts, right? So basically, you gonna get your ass killed, right? You gonna get your ass killed, right? There's way more verses talking about adultery, talking about divorcing your wife, but I made a video on that as well, and I want to stick to the main point, right? Now, he says, I said lust on top of here because I had I'm pretty sure I had to correct myself. Like I spelled lust, but I spelled list instead. So this is me, replying to myself, trying to correct the spelling error. And then he says, okay, then sexual immorality, right? And I said, explain sexual immorality to me, right? And correlate to having multiple wives. Because he's trying to say having multiple wives is sexual immorality. How, right? And I want him to tell me the definition. Now I'm going to give you out a definition as well. And he says, because if you sleep with multiple wives without a goal to actually build a relationship. Now, I don't know if he phrased this wrong, or I'm kind of confused the way he meant. But I think he meant that if you sleep with multiple wives without a goal, you're not building a relationship or some shit. I don't know what he try to play at. I don't know, the phrasing was wrong. But my take of this is that nigga, sex is literally the ultimate relationship, right? It's literally the ultimate relationship. That's how you best get to know a woman, right? Not asking her how her day was, what sandwich did you eat? Did you brush your teeth this morning? Did you go outside and meet your friends? Bro, sex is the ultimate gateway. It's the ultimate gateway. What did Isaac do, right? He got Rebecca, brought her into the tent immediately, and had sex with her, and she became his wife. Just like that. He didn't say, let's talk about how our day was. Oh, I really like you. I want to sit down and have dinner. No, he said, come to my tent, clap the cheeks, and he was gone, right? Just like that, right? So, and this is literally the scriptures in the book of Genesis, right? It's in the book of Genesis, right? So, again, what does he talk about to actually build a relationship, right? And, I brought up some Bible verses, some scriptures. I like saying scriptures of, for example, right? And I even went on to say that, I brought up some example. I brought up Abraham, right? He had 3 women, right? I'm pretty sure Keturah, Hagar, and Sarah, right? I'm pretty sure Keturah, I don't know how to say her name, and Sarah, those were his wives. But if I'm not mistaken, what was her name again? Because I searched it up here, right? Yeah, Hagar, right? Hagar, that was Abraham's concubine, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Hagar was a concubine. Sarah was a primary wife, and Keturah is referred to as a wife he took after Sarah's death, right? Now, here we have it right here, right? Actual proof, right? We can read on to 4, right? Now, Sarah, Abraham's wife, bear him no children, right? So again, that's Sarah, his wife. So that's wife number 1, right? And she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, who was Hagar, right? And basically a concubine, like you have a wife and you have a concubine, right? The concubine is just like a little side piece, right? The wife is the main one, right? The wife is up here. You don't see me on camera, but like the wife is up here, but the concubine is down there, right? She's a little side piece, right? Essentially, right? And keep in mind, the woman was literally created for you, bro. So you got these soft ass pieces of shit in the world being like, oh, you can't have multiple wives. Men are literally designed to have multiple women. We're designed that way, right? And I'm gonna end off in a certain chapter so y'all can understand, so y'all can really understand, right? And there's something else on my mind as well, right? Anyways, and Sarah said unto Abram, behold now, the Lord Yahweh have restrained me from bearing. I pray you, go into my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarah. So what did she tell him to do? She told him to go into Hagar, right? Hagar, right? I don't know how to say her name. So again, Hagar is now Abraham's concubine, right? And Sarah, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife, right? So as I said already, boom, right? Now let's get Genesis 25:1, right? And he went to Hagar, and she conceived, and when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes, right? So that's 2 women right there. That's 2 women. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah, right? She bare him kids: Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Median, Ishbak, and Shua, right? So 3 women right there. Now, Tim, tell me where that Abraham was punished for having multiple wives. In fact, the Most High literally gave, who was it, Hagar, children. He gave Hagar children, right? And Sarah didn't have no kids, right, at this moment, right? Go back again, right? Go into my maid, it may be to obtain children by her. And he listened, right? Abram said, okay, I'm going to her, right? Gave her to her husband to be his wife, right? He went into Hagar and she conceived. And when she saw that she conceived, right, she saw that Hagar had children, right? And she even got mad. Look, the mistress was despised in her eyes. So where was he punished at? Where was he punished at? silly what was it? Silly messages of my friend, right? Funny, just very funny, right? Because it just makes no sense. Anyways, right? So that's that. Where was it? I talking about Jacob, right? Because I had it pulled up. Oh, it's right here. Is it? Yeah, it's right here. Now the story of this, to keep it short, Jacob's basically working for Laban to have. He wanted. Pretty sure he wanted Rachel, right? But Laban gave Jacob Leah, right? And he wanted Rachel. He didn't want Leah. He wanted Rachel, right? But again, right? He went into Leah, right? Look, he literally woke up the next day, and it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. So he had sex with Leah, making her his wife. So literally, that's wife number one, right? That's one right there, right? So keep that in mind. Now we go to Rachel, right? Verse 28, and Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also, right? To wife also. 2 women right there, okay? Keep going down, right? He loved Rachel more. Where says that at? Yeah, verse 30, right? And he went into also Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, right? Now go down a bit. Where does it say? And look, they had children as well, right? They had children. And when Rachel saw that Jacob bare no children, right? Where does it say? Yeah, right here. Verse 3, Genesis 30:3. And she said, behold, my maid Bilhah, go into her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. And who said this? Right? And when Rachel saw that she bare, Rachel envied her sister. Right? This is Rachel saying this. Right? And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, am I in God's most high stead, who have withheld from you the fruit of the womb? Right? So this is Rachel telling Jacob to go into her maid Bilhah. Right? So again, and she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife, and Jacob went into her. Wife number 3. Okay? Right? And now let's skip down some verses where it says Zilpah. Right? Pretty sure that's her name. Look, verse 9. When Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. Jacob is now 4 women. Has now, well, I phrased that wrong. Jacob now has 4 women, right? And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a son. So 3 women. I keep saying 3 women. 4 women, right? 4 wives. Well, 2 wives and 2 concubines, right? The 2 wives are Rachel and Leah, and the 2 concubines are Bilhah and Zilpah, right? And together, right, they all bore, the 12 tribes of Israel, right? 12 tribes. So, where was Jacob punished for having 4 wives, right? Multiple wives. Where was he punished at, right? Right. Again, let's go back to what he said: lust, sexual immorality, without a goal to actually build a relationship, like having multiple wives. Come on, like you get mad at a man for having multiple wives. Where, right? Now let's go to Solomon, right? 1 Kings 11:1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, right? Together with the daughter of Pharaoh, woman of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidon, and Hittites, right? And strange in this context, what was it? Well, no, it was strangers. So, no, disregard that. Anyways, I got strange and strangers mixed up. Anyways, right, so again, love many strange women, he had Moabite women, pretty sure should be Chinese, Ammonites should be Japanese, Edomites, which are nowadays Caucasians, Zidonians and Hittites, right? Of the nations concerning which the Lord Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely, right? He told you, don't go after these women, right? Why? Why shouldn't you go on to the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Edomites, the Zidonians, Zidonians, and Hittites, right? Because for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods, right? But still Solomon clave unto these in love. So yes, obviously you can have multiple women, right? But, and here's where the lusting part actually plays a factor, right? Because now you're lusting after these women, what's going on, right? You're going to be turned onto their gods, right? So, and he has 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart, right? What the Most High Yahweh say, right? Don't go into them, and don't let them come in onto you, for they will surely turn your heart away after their gods. And he fell for the trap, right? He literally, look, for it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Most High Yahweh, his God, as was the heart of David, his father. So, there you have it, right? Yes, you can have multiple wives, because as we see with Abraham and Jacob, there was no sin in doing so, right? But here's where actually may be a dangerous thing, right? They will surely turn you away after their gods. And, regarding us Israelites anyways, right, you can only marry an Israelite woman, right? So any other woman, whether it be your nowadays Moabite, which is Chinese, Ammonite, which is Japanese, and Edomites, which are your Caucasians, they can't be our wives, right? They will be our concubines, right? They'll be our mistresses, right? Is that the word? No, servants. Let's just say servants, right? They'll be our servants, and they'll only serve one purpose only, and that's for us to have sex with them, right? Literally just to have sex with them. That's the only purpose, right? As I said before, a concubine is like a little side piece, right? So that's that. So I don't know what he's talking about, sexual immorality and stuff like that. But also let's get oh yeah, what was I gonna get? That chapter. Hold up. Right, and even when it comes to R wording, right? R wording a girl, like, what is that? What's the consequences for that? I'm gonna tell you what the consequences are. The consequences are not death, right? Not go to prison, right? It's literally you have to make that woman your wife, and you cannot divorce her. Proof of this, right? When I say R wording too, I mean the R bomb, like the forcefully taking, right? Forcefully taking, right? That's what I mean. Now this is Deuteronomy. This is 22nd chapter, Deuteronomy 22, and let's start reading, right? And this also talks about being an adulteress, right? But I'm not even going to that, because as you know, if you have sex with a woman who is already married, you're gonna be put to death, right? And it says that too. And the woman, I'm pretty sure if the woman still goes, it's really specific rules, right? It's really specific rules, right? Actually, let's go into it. Why not? Let's go into it, right? Let's see. Let's start at, if a man take a wife, go into it. Right. Now, actually, let's get this in a different translation, right? Different translation. Let's get this in a Blue Letter Bible, right? This is Deuteronomy 22. It's going to be in the NIV. And we're going to go over the rules, right? Let's start at 13. We're going to end off all the way down here, right? And then we're going to go into Numbers 31, right? And we're gonna end off, right? But if a man takes a wife after sleeping with her and dislikes her and slanders her and gives her a bad name, saying, I married this woman, but when I approached her, I did not find proof of her virginity, right? So the man is basically saying she's not a virgin, right? Then the young woman's father and mother shall bring to the town elders at the gate proof that she was a virgin. Her father will say to the elders, I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he dislikes her. Now you slander her, right? Saying she's not a virgin, and here's proof of her virginity, right? And you're going to display the cloth, right? And the man's going to be punished. Now his punishment is to never divorce her, right? Now, if this is true and she wasn't a virgin, what's going to happen? She shall be brought to the door of her father's house, and there the men of her town shall stone her to death. She has done an outrageous thing in Israel, right? Notice, in Israel, right? By being promiscuous while still in her father's house, right? If a man is found sleeping with another man's wife, right? Another man's wife, what does that sound like? That sounds like that picture I had, right? Right here, adultery is having sex with another man's wife. You know, the friend getting upset, right? Come on. This is easy stuff, right? What's going to happen? Both the man who slept with her and the woman must die, right? And keep on reading, because you're like, why the woman dying for, right? Keep reading, right? If a man happens to meet in a town a virgin, actually, no, reread that, right? 22 and 22. If a man is found sleeping with another man's wife, both the man who slept with her and the woman must die. You must purge the evil from Israel, right? If a man happens to meet in a town a virgin pledged to be married and he sleeps with her, so that virgin, right, who is engaged, who has yet to be, you know, who's pledged to be married and he sleeps with her, right, you shall take both of them to the gate and stone them both to death, right? And it gives you the reason. The young woman, because, right, the young woman's going to be stoned to death because she was in the town and did not scream, right, did not scream for help, right? And the man, because he violated another man's wife. Now, this chapter, this verse is really nice because it gives you an explanation, right? You're like, okay, what if like the woman didn't, like, the woman out of nowhere, she just got raped, why she got to die for it, right? And it gives you context because she was in a town and did not scream for help, right? Now, and it also gives you context if she did scream for help, right? Keep reading. But if out in a country, a man, well, in a KJV, it says out in the field. But anyways, but out in the country, a man happens to meet a young woman pledged to be married, and he, you know, R-bombs her. Only the man who has done this shall die, right? Do nothing to the woman. She has committed no sin deserving death, right? Now keep on reading. Do nothing to the woman. She has committed no sin deserving death. This case is like that of someone who attacks and murders a neighbor. A neighbor is another Israelite brother, right? You Israelites today, are you blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Latinos, right? True children of the Most High and none else. Like, we're put above all the nations of the earth, right? We're holy people. We're set apart from these other nations, right? Anyways, for the man found a young woman out in the country, and though the betrothed woman screamed, there was no one to rescue her, right? So she screamed, was not rescued, right? So only the man dies. But if the woman did not scream, and she's pledged to be married, and the man takes her, like R-bombs her, they both gotta die. So it's really specific rules, right? Now here's the juicy part, right? Here's the part where I really want to get at, right? If a man happens to meet a virgin who was not pledged to be married, right? So she's single, she's not pledged to be married, and, you know, R-bombs her, and they are discovered, what is his punishment? Now you ask somebody in the world today, they said, nah, he got to go to prison. He gotta get his dick chopped off. He got to get his arm chopped off. He got to be below the prison. This is his punishment. He shall pay her father 50 shekels of silver, which is a lot of money, right? He must marry the young woman, for he has violated her. He can never divorce her as long as he lives. That's his punishment, right? Can't divorce her, and he has to marry her, right? And yes, marriage is sex, but there's also other traditions, not tradition, other, we have like, pretty sure we threw parties as well, like before we actually got married, right? But that's that, right? So again, there's nothing wrong with having a lot of women. And you know, even one of my other friends, she said something about isn't lust bad? And you know, I already explained to you how lust is just an intense craving, right? And it could be after something good, or it could be after something bad, right? In Solomon's case, he started lusting after this woman so much that he literally started following their religions when he was up there in age, right? And the chapter I'm about to show you right now, right, Numbers 31, which, you know, one of my friends suggested I read, you know. Here we have it right here, right? Now, some context of me just skimming through this, right? The Most High spake unto Moses, saying, avenge the children of Israel of the Midianites, right? And you should be gathered unto your people, right? So Moses is arming up the Israelites to fight against the Midianites, right? Now, slew all the males, right? They're at war right now. They slew all the males. Now, let's keep on reading, right? And they warred against the Midianites as the Lord commanded Moses, and they slew all the males, right? Slew the kings, and the children of Israel, right? The Israelites took all, listen to this, took all the women of the Midian captives and their little ones, and took the spoil of all the cattle and all their flocks and all their goods, burnt all the cities, all the castles with fire, took all the spoil, all the prey, both of men and beast, right? And he brought the captives and the prey and the spoil unto Moses, right? Now here's the juicy part, right? Numbers 31-15. And Moses said unto them, have you saved all the women alive? Keep in mind, right? They killed all the males. They killed all the men, all the guys, and they took all the women. Now, what are they going to do with all these women? Right? You tell me. Right? Have you saved all the women alive? Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. Right? So, these women, right, caused the Israelites to basically stumble and commit idolatry, right? Now, therefore, kill every male, right? Kill every male among the little ones. So keep in mind, they killed all the men, right? All the men, like older men with beards, you know, men. They killed all those, and it took all the women captive. Go back up again, right? Took all the women and their little ones meaning their daughters, right? Or children, might be children, right? Yeah, the children, male. The little ones refer to, you know, the sons and the daughters, right? So again, to not make it confusing, they killed all the men, right? They got the woman, and they have the woman's children, okay? Now, therefore, kill every male among the little ones. So now all the sons are dying, right? So the women are still alive, their daughters are still alive, but all the sons are going to be slayed. And kill every woman that have known man by laying with him, right? So what the fuck happened? So basically, these non-virgins, right? These non-virgins, okay? Where's it at? So what are they doing? It sounds crazy. What are they doing? Right? They have the woman. They have the children. They're killing the sons of those women, and they're killing the women who are not virgins. So now who are left? The women that are virgins are left, and their daughters who are virgins as well are left alive as well. Okay? But all the women children, right, all the daughters that have not known a man, keep alive for yourselves. Crazy, right? Crazy, right? So again, the women who were married to a man, right, who had sex with a man, they're dead. Only the virgin women are left. Their daughters, who have had sex with a man, who had sex with a man, they're dead. Only the virgin daughters are alive. The sons, killed. All the men, killed. Okay? You know, they did the the ceremony, which is, purify yourselves. Well, whosoever hath killed any person, and whosoever hath touched any slain, purify both yourselves and the captives on the third day and on the seventh day. Right? And there's also what was it? Something else you perform as well. Like when you take the woman captive, they're supposed to, pretty sure, shave their heads and cut their nails and let them mourn for a couple of days, if I'm not mistaken, right? And then you can go into them. So again, and you think that it's only like 5 women? No, bro, it was thousands of women, right? Let's try to get this in the NLV because I want to find it, right? I want to find it. Let's see if it tells you how many women there were. Yeah, it's definitely down here. Pretty sure it's down here. Yeah, look. 32,000 women who have never slept with a man. 32,000 women. Right? That's 32,000 women. Can you imagine that? 32,000 women. Right? And, one more time, just to end off. Now kill all the boys and kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save for yourselves every girl, right, who has never slept with a man. Every girl, right? Why is it saying that? Right? It's because, right, and obviously a lot of people are not going to agree with this, right? When a girl gets her period, right, she's legally, biblically speaking, considered a woman, right? Isaac married Rebecca. Rebecca was a damsel, right? Damsels are as young as 12 years old, right? This should be Mark the 5th chapter, right? And here we go going into a whole different topic, right? Was it Mark 5:42? Yeah, right. Let's get this in a KJV, 5:42, right? And straightway the damsel arose and walked, for she was of the age of 12, right? Damsel, that's a young marriageable woman. Right? Where's it at? Damsel, virgin, right? Now let's get this in, obviously, the Hebrew word, because that's in Greek. Okay, that's in Greek. Right, and this is talking. I'm pretty sure this chapter right here is talking about Isaac getting the damsel, right? But look, little girl, right? That's why I said girls, right? In Numbers 31, a young woman, marriageable age, marriageable young woman, right? Young woman, little girl, right? And we seen it, right? Mark 5, Mark 5:42, 12 years old, proof right there. And who married the damsel, right? In the book of Genesis, Isaac did, right? Isaac did. Okay, Isaac did. So that's that right there. But people don't understand, right? Proof right here, right? And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her, right? The damsel was very fair, very, very fair. Right? And how old was Isaac, right? How old was Isaac when he married Rebecca, right? 40 years old. Genesis 25:20. It's in this book, right? Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebecca to be his wife. When he took her in that tent, right? That damsel, that virgin, that young, marriageable woman. 40 years old. So, again, when they have their period, they are biblically speaking considered women, right? And now let's get, I kept on forgetting to talk about, how woman was created for the man which is absolute fucking truth, right? You get that in the book of Genesis, you know, man shall not be lonely, right? But, you know, if you even need even more, this is 1 Corinthians 11:9. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man, right? Come on, right? The woman for the man. And even going back to, you know, the damsel and the virgin, and, you know, of a young woman of marriageable age, right? You get context of this in 1 Corinthians 7:36, right? Talking about, you know, if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, right? If she passed the flower of her age, right? And you get this, and if you get this in a different translation, it says if she, you know, if she's past her youth of her age, right? And virgin, right? Young marriageable woman, right? So if she's lured around the age of, you know, 12, 13, 14, past that age, or of that age, you know, past the age of 12 specifically, look, and he needs so require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not. He sinneth not. And in fact, let them marry. Let them marry. He sinneth not, right? Let them marry. Right? And really this he sinneth not part is regarding something else. But again, let them marry. Right? There you have it. Right? So, you know, this guy here, you know, talking about having multiple wives is wrong. It's, what was it? Sexual immorality and insane lust. I don't know what the fuck he's on about. Right? It makes no sense. But that's the end of this video. Right? Lord willing, you edified. Lord willing, you see me next. Stay strong in the faith. Peace, grace, and mercy unto the hopeful elect. And with that, I'm going to stay strong. Shalom, shalom.